Right, okay, I'll stop bollocksing around.
No,
Okay,
just
right.
no need. You know what? I'm starting the podcast from literally now. You're the first guest of 2023. Anna, what's the crack?
Way! Right, okay, that'll do. So, and a banana. Don't want any confusion around the brand, you know.
With that, you know what? The brand is strong with you. I like that. The brand
Yeah.
immediately, I think, and that's actually got me thinking. I'm going to make a note about something we're going to talk about at the very end of the podcast. That's actually got my brain thinking there now, because yeah, and a banana.
Okay.
Did you get sponsored by budgie smugglers? Am I imagining that?
I suppose like a lot of the stuff they just sent because they're legends and they, you know, takes one to know one, like. So, do you know what? They're just, I don't know. I bought my first pair of budgie smugglers from them, and then I just always like shared stuff. So then they're very good to share with, like, especially the rugby community. They're kind of very close knit with the rugby community. So, yeah, they're always trying to kind of advertise through like people in rugby. So they sent me loads of free stuff over the years. Like, but you know what? They just brought out a banana pair, and I was in Sydney there only a couple of weeks ago, and I only had a couple of days there, and I was like, there's one place I have to go. It's the new budgie smuggler shop in Bondi Beach, because I lived in Bondi Beach a few years ago and it wasn't there then. So I was like, I'm going one place. So I borrowed my friend's car in Sydney. I was like, going to Bondi Beach, down to Bondi Beach. It was pouring rain, ran into the shop, couldn't get park or couldn't pay for my parking. So I started like, okay, I'll just go in for the budgie smugglers there now. They had all the new banana pairs up. They forgot to send over the women's swimsuits. But they said they'd send me a pair because they were so sorry. Like, they were like, oh my God, we can't believe this. I literally like, I came all this way from Mallow.
The notion that you came all this way, like, yeah, beautiful.
I know. It kind of felt like it because I'd only the few days there, and I literally was leaving that night. I was like, I can't believe you don't have them. But it was an honest mistake now. So I must get back onto them now and get it sorted and get my new budgie smuggler pair for 2023.
And I loved the connotations that a budgie smugglers are, you're hiding dude's junk in your.
Yes.
But it's a brand now, and there's no getting away from it. Like,
that's it. That's it. Yeah.
For anybody who's wondering, what in the Christ have I just stumbled into? Anna is also known as Anna Banana on her. If you actually, when you follow her, because you will all follow her after this on Instagram, she's known as Banana Caplice. Caplice. I'm saying Caplice because it goes well with a banana, though. It sounds
goes well with banana. Yeah, Banana Caplice is kind of the nickname. Is kind of the brand. But sorry, state of my hair here now. Sorry, I'll just redo my hair there now.
You're for the audio listeners, Anna's flicking her long, luscious hair around, and I've chopped off my hair for charity, chopped off the mullet for charity.
You had to.
Yeah. No, you knew it. You knew full well I did, and you just started flicking your long hair around the place, going, "Oh, sure, Tom, they're cutting me hair. Look at it."
Sorry.
And here I am, just with phantom mullet syndrome. I keep on running my fingers through fresh air behind my head.
Oh yeah, phantom mullet. The hair looks good though.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah. Do you know what? I wasn't overly disappointed with it. Your man cut it in such a way that he went, at least it looks like something's happening there, Tom, because I've never had a hair where anything's happening. When he styled it for me and stuff, and he went, look, it looks cool. I went, oh, that does look cool, because I've never had cool hair. I've always just had functional military style fucking hair. Like, and then I had the mullet, which also doesn't qualify as being cool. It's kind of anti-cool. Does it?
Definitely. Anything's cool if you wear it with enough confidence, like, and you definitely wear your mullet with confidence.
It's true. I actually got remotely sent stuff from, have you ever seen the Pit Viper sunglasses?
Yes.
You know, the ones they're like from the 80s, those big ones. I wore a set of them at 3 Arena, walking on stage at the 3 Arena.
Unreal.
Like a
yeah, and people were like, Jesus, he looks great.
I don't know, great, but if nothing, at least I looked interesting. Do you know, there's I don't care if great or what, I just don't look boring. There's nothing worse than boring, is there, Anna? Like,
no, there isn't. But you know what? Like, this is the same thing with budgie smugglers. I think kind of, people be like, oh, I wouldn't wear Speedos, or people wearing Speedos are only wearing it for swimming or because they're like a kind of a loser. But I think that now you wear it with a bit of like, well, I don't give a fuck, and it kind of carries its own, it looks good, like it looks even better the way you wear it, you know?
I think, is that the way we're going? Because with high fashion kind of falling off a cliff at the minute, like, don't have to get into Balenciaga and the mad shit they were up to, like, but it got to such a point where people are like, oh my God, I'm so worried about what I care. Is it getting to a point now where people are like, do you know what's cool? Is not giving a shit. Is it?
Definitely. Yeah. But you know what though? And this is the thing around kind of like, hipster was the new way of like not giving a shit, but now people try really hard to look hipster.
Oh, God.
So the pendulum swings, the pendulum swings up and down. So I'd say we're kind of gone too far past the, oh, I don't care, this was such a flawless look, but actually it took me hours.
It was
like me sitting here right now with my
But somebody could spend hours to try and get that. Do you know what I mean? If you were trying to, it's like...
I'd say most people would spend hours trying to look like this now, yeah. Yeah. in the lovely setting with the curtains and the...
Like I said, you have cornicing. Like you actually have cornicing and like Grecian cornicing in the top of your wall, and you have pictures on the wall, which is the most adult look. Look at my fucking studio, looks like a child put it together. Like I literally have it. For some real reason, I have a Wheel of Fortune. I bought that and I've never once used it.
It's like me buying the microphone. It's only for Instagram posts. Never once recorded what I had to say.
I wish I could even say I did something with it. Like we didn't bring it out over Christmas it never served a purpose. There was a notion at some stage. Do you know what? For the sake of it, we may repurpose it in the future, myself and yourself, maybe just for the crack. There's something there.
But you've got Keith Darrell's there behind you, very kind of prominently.
Yeah, placed. I read a book. I did. So that's I put up a book. I put up a book.
Okay, so it's more a celebration that you read the book.
Yeah.
I read all those books up there.
Oh shit! They don't even have pictures on the front of them, which means they're serious.
No, I have in my eye. That's my dad's historian. You had the pleasure of meeting my dad there a minute ago before we started the podcast. He waltzed in, but my dad's a local historian, so
is he?
The place is full of books. He is.
That's class. It's like, okay, my old man would absolutely melt your old man's head. Oh my God! And is it local stuff? Because my family's people wouldn't be a million miles from Mallow or either. So God Almighty, my father finds out that your father. Oh Lord! No, I won't tell him.
Send him down.
I'd like to, I guarantee your dad probably knew my granduncle, a guy called Bill Mahony, who was a historian. He wrote for the Limerick Leader and stuff like that. He was a local historian around Ballylanders and that neck of the woods. So again,
sure enough, definitely they'll have come across each other. Yeah.
I love that they might have been slipping into each other's DMs. Hey man, did you check this? Check out the lid.
Have you seen what's going on down the castle?
down the castle. So what were you in Sydney for? Or because if you follow Anna, you'll realize that Anna is the wealthiest person I know. Because she literally jet sets like Jake Paul around the world. It's amazing.
I know everyone's saying that to me, like, did you win the lotto? I'm like, I didn't. I had a small bit of money and I made sure that I went traveling with it before I blew it all on Monday and stuff.
Yes.
So I obviously retired this year from Irish rugby. So I had a big kind of plan to do a bit of traveling and kind of as a way to distract myself from things and as a way to be like, finally I've got my own time now. I've got to use it, because like I love traveling and it hasn't always been easy to balance with playing rugby, like in the Prem and with Ireland and stuff like that. So I just was mad to do a few trips. I went cycling last summer. I did a cycle trip along the Danube for how long was it, 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something like that, which was class. Like that was immediately kind of when the summer hit, and I was playing sevens and playing tens, and like I actually, do you know what? I played sevens last summer, like social sevens with a
Yeah.
team down in Benidorm. I actually, I don't know, have you ever seen that Limerick Flip a Pig? But I can't say Benidorm.
I know exactly what you're
Do you know
talking
what I'm talking about? That
Yeah.
Limerick Flip a Pig. Anyway, I played at social sevens down in Benidorm, and I loved it so much that I was like, do you know what? I'm going to get fit for sevens again. And
That's what I was always was terrified when I played rugby. Was I loved the idea of playing rugby league 11-a-side. It was all running,
Yeah.
but it was typically in straight lines. But sevens, I never got a chance to play any form of sevens. But the notion you must be so super fit to be ready to
Yeah.
explode at any point in any direction. By the way, you could just run.
Yes, yeah. Do you know what though? Like, because I hadn't played sevens in ages, so I played a good few times over the summer, and I wouldn't have been like, you know, super sevens fit like at all. But if you're smart enough to stay connected with the players around you, it actually works fine. Now,
Right.
I still kind of, you know, want to have the same in mind now for coming into the summer. I want to play loads of sevens, so loads of running. That's the only thing. You just have to run yourself into the ground to be fit enough for it. But it's great crack, like. So that was really nice to play a good bit of social sevens, and I was like, this is why I love rugby. This is why I fell in love with rugby. You know, the crack, meeting people, and like sunshine summer rugby. It's so much fun. So I kind of was coaching rugby in Ireland then for the summer, and then I went to South Africa to play in the World Tens Championship.
Yes.
Which was class as well.
What's tens like?
So tens, it's funny, there's kind of a gap in the market there for tens, because, you know, there's sevens professional leagues and there's 15s, and tens is kind of somewhere in the middle that nobody has really set up a league or a championship for yet. So there's a few people kind of making a stab at it. And this crowd that I played for, yeah, they held a 2-week tournament down in South Africa. It was unbelievable.
Who are you playing for?
So they've set up their own franchises. So there's 4 actually different franchises. So I was playing for the Balkans Honey Badgers, and then there's the Cape Town Wild Dogs and San Clemente Rhinos, and all these kind of teams that are kind of based somewhere, but actually you can invite players, and the idea is that you have 2 European players, 2 African players, 2 Australian players, so they make sure that it's a big mix.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was brilliant, and like ideal for me, because for me, like, playing with people from all over, like, you know, the barbarian style of play is just adore it, and I really like thrive in an environment like that. So I'll tell you how I got invited to that tens thing.
Yeah, because the Balkans, just, I'm going, did some rich Croatian set that up now, or what happened there? It's like, or some few like ludicrous Georgian who has a big,
some lad who just loves rugby, like,
just,
you know, pure European head in him. It's actually I don't even know the history of it, but like our coach is from the Netherlands, our manager is from Sweden, and so our manager, there's actually women's rugby is quite good in Sweden, and there's a good few Swedish players that play in the English Premiership. One of them I know quite well. I played with her in Harlequins, and I went to her wedding during the summer, and it was beautiful. It was in like the Welsh Hills, right? And when they were walking down the aisle, i.e. the stack of hay, you know, through the field, thing, you know, we were all sat in the hay bales. The speaker didn't work, so there was no music for them coming down the aisle to their wedding.
Go on.
And I leaned across when we're coming to the end of the ceremony, I leaned across to the best bird, she was calling herself, the maid of honor. The best bird, and I know her as well from playing rugby with her, and I was like, is the speaker working? She was like, it's not. I was like, okay, what was the song that they were going to walk down the aisle to out of the ceremony? And she said, Dog Days Are Over by Florence and the Machine. I was like, right, I'll sing it. So I sang them out of the thing, and they didn't have a clue what was going on, because they were like, oh, and I just started singing like they hadn't planned it at all. They wanted to hear it on a speaker.
Oh my
and I was
God.
like, I don't want, flick it, let's go for it here. And we're kind of telling people all around us, so people had the words in front of them. But it's actually such a cool one, because it's like, run fast for your mother, fast for your father. So everyone was like clapping and singing and joining in. And they walked off up the field, and it was great crack. And like, so the manager of that Honey Badgers team was at that wedding, and she was like, you have to come play tennis for my team.
Oh my
so
God.
It was off the back of that I got my two weeks down in South Africa. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. But you know what? I love hearing them stories too, where, well, I just wandered into a scenario, because who had his whole life has been like that is, Dave from Dermot and Dave on Today FM. His entire life was, and then I wandered into this place, and I just was sound to this bloke, and then all of a sudden this amazing thing happened. Or a couple of musicians I know, things like that have happened, where they're just, so I met this couple, and the next thing they said, you'll have to play at our wedding. You're like,
yes.
What? These unbelievable turns of heart. But see, you're like have boots will travel. Do you know what I mean? That's the great thing about you. You're like,
I know.
Slip the ukulele in the bag and we're off. Like,
that's it. And I brought it on my travels, my fucking ukulele, and I was like, oh Jesus, I'm sick of looking at it. But it can be the key into something. So it's always worth it to have it. I was at a very fancy do over in London there in September for London Irish. It was like a charity event. And they were asking me to kind of take part in something, and I ended up playing the ukulele. And they were so fancy. It was like, what is this? Like, I was like, I don't know, is this lost in the crowd here? But whatever. And like this big posh fella comes up to me at the end, and he was like, well done for, I'm not going to say well done for having the talent, but well done for sharing it. Because he's like, a lot of people have it, but they won't share it, or they're afraid to share it, or whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure, that's it. I think, like,
how do you fucking answer that?
I was like, thanks very much, love.
Well done for sharing your talent. Do you mean well done? Is that what you're? I don't. Was that a compliment?
Because everyone was like, oh, she's great, but he wasn't so impressed by the fact that, by the song. He was just impressed by the fact that I had the balls to stand up there in my ball gown with the little ukulele.
What did you sing? Can you remember? Don't say you sing. It wasn't God Save the Queen.
No. I wrote a song, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to hear this story?
Oh my God, yes. The very fact that you have a boldest smile I've ever seen, and you went, do you want to hear this story? You're damn right I do.
Well, look, prepare yourself for this, because this is
strap in.
This is one of my best stories.
Oh my God.
So much so that I wrote a song about it. And then I'll get back to talking about the rest of my travels. But let's put a pause on that there now, because you'll want to hear this, okay?
Yes.
I was out on a night out in Limerick with all my UL Bows girls. We played a match that day. The same day that Munster played Racing in Thomond Park it actually was 2017.
Yes.
So a good few years ago now. We were all inside a house in Limerick. Brilliant night, and fast forward to like kind of small hours of the morning, and there was a load of us in the Strand Hotel. The Racing players and the Bows girls, and there was I don't know, we all went up to someone's room. Nothing untoward going on here now. Like, this is
session on. Yeah.
Session on, exactly. And all of a sudden there was 3 girls there that were dressed for a night out. They were obviously on their way home from their night out. And one of the lads was like, we're having a session, come up to the room. And I was like, oh, there's 3 girls there that are dressed nicely, because we were obviously all in our bows,
your
polos,
number ones.
like.
Yeah.
So anyway, they were sat in the bed. That was grand. There was a few of the French players, and these are now players who play for Racing.
Teddy Thomas, all these ridiculous names.
Teddy Thomas, Win Laurie, Teddy Ibrin, like some of the best players in the world, like for France, for wrestling and for France. And one of them was taking a video of someone else doing something like a magic trick, and one of them had his phone out. And one of the girls was like, excuse me, sorry, excuse me, we can't be seen here. Sorry, you're gonna have to put that away. Excuse me, you can't take photos of us. Sorry now, excuse me. Like, said it like 100 times and was like making this big point, making sure everyone heard her, that she couldn't be on camera or seen in this room. And I was like, what's the problem here? And she was like, looked at her friends and they were a bit like, oh, I wonder, should we tell them, kind of. And she was like, we play football for Roscommon.
To our Roscommon listeners, we mean no offense, but Holy Sweet Mother of Jesus Christ.
No offense meant at all. I just think that she didn't know who was in the room, what she thought was going to happen. I was so stunned by the response. I actually went home.
Can you imagine?
I didn't know what to say.
That one of the wrestling lads go back to France and they're going, you're not going to believe who we had in the room. Some of the Roscommon ladies footballers. I know. Relax, lads. Put down your fucking baguette. This is
So I actually wrote, because when I was invited to this London Irish event, we were asked to play 2 truths and a lie or something like that. And because they were a rugby crowd, this is a story I told, and because they were London Irish and a lot of Irish people involved, it actually went down really well because there were some Roscommon people in the room and da, da, da. So I wrote a song about it, and the song is about one of the French players running off with one of the Roscommon footballers.
It's a match made in heaven when you think about it, isn't it?
So, like, you know, yeah, I know. I'll play it for you sometime.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'll play it for you sometime for sure. So that is where we're at. I don't know how we got onto that, but
I absolutely love the fact. Yeah, I love the fact that you said that's the song I'm going to bring, because you've written rugby songs as well, like, you know what I mean, but that's the one you went, this is a banger, lads. And the story
because it had to go with the story. Oh no, sorry, they only wanted the story first, but when I was like preparing it with them, I told them the story and I was like, I actually wrote a song about it, and they were like, perfect, bring the ukulele. So yeah, so that
English to people, as I imagine you, because you don't give, as I described on my latest special, I was talking about a barman that if he searched for a week, the same fella, if he searched for a week downstairs in the cellar, he wouldn't find even half a fuck to give you. And I mean, and if ever I could describe Anna Caplice, you could root in the garden for a month and you wouldn't have one bollocks to give somebody, like. And I love the fact that you were there with the most posh people on the planet, because English people do posh. Like, Irish people try to pretend to be posh, but it's only a few. It's because we have a few quid.
Will I tell you how posh the event was?
Oh,
this
yeah.
Is Florian. Now, this was a London Irish and a couple of other charities event. So there wasn't just Irish people there. So it was a lot of English people there. But, like, you know, very fancy event. Like, it was the same week just after the Queen had died. Oh. And they invited someone to make a speech, or sorry, a toast. So someone is going to make a toast now, and this big massive fella with a big blazer stood up with his glass of wine, and everyone stood up, and he just goes, "The King," and the whole room went, "The King." And I was sat with a load of Irish and Scottish people, and we were just like, knock back the wine there, like. That's how posh this event was, like.
That's actually perfect, because no other thing could like, you would never get away with that anywhere else in the world, to stand up with just 2 words. That's it. Just to stand up. He's going to toast. And it's going to be fucking epic, lads. I'm telling you now, it's going to be unreal. And he stands up and nobody goes, hey, what? That's that. He stood up and just went, the king. And everybody.
It was so powerful, like, they were all like, it was pure emotional because she'd only been buried like a day or two before. So they were all like, the king. I started singing a Lion King and I took my cat out of my bag and I pulled it up and started singing.
Yeah. To be honest, I would have backed you 100% on that one. Good Jesus Christ. They do. I remember hearing, I thought I had a posh English stories before about lads that I've met gigging over there and stuff. And then it got trumped one time by Andrew Maxwell told me a story. They were gigging, himself and a guy called Glenn Wool were gigging in Cambridge. And they were just two comics and t-shirts or whatever on a Wednesday night, part of what they thought was Rag Week or whatever, but it was kind of a posher thing than that.
Oh yeah.
And it turns out that they met people that night that they didn't think even existed. They thought they were LARPing, right? They thought they were actually dicking about and LARPing, but they'd done the gig and they came off and they were walking across the quad of whatever university they were in. I'm guessing Cambridge or there. And they kind of went on a bit of a detour around by a river. Kind of, this is a nice walk. The summer's night. We've got ages. Would we just stroll back to the train this way? And they walked by like these lads who were like wooing these girls that were sitting like we're talking. The girls were off to press some flowers afterwards, and the lads were like wearing like boat hats and stuff. Mama, and it was like they looked like something from 1922, and the boys went, oh, this is nice. So they stopped and watched, thinking they were part of, it was part of a drama group or something. Turns out when they heard afterward, it wasn't. This is how this particular section of society, these people exist. They don't shop in the shops we shop in. They don't drink in the pubs we drink in. These people still exist. Like the lads then got shown off the property by, he was calling himself the Master at Arms. And he was like a young guy too. He was actually a student, but he was in this oldie worldy looking security kind of soldier thing. He went, well, I'll give you and he actually threatened the lads with a ruddy good thrashing. And the lads were like, okay, lads, ye are too amazing. This is like Disneyland. But it got very serious then. Like he actually fucked him out. And when they talked, they would
recite a poem for us, and he's like, "Get out of my university."
The girls were like clutching their pearls and everything, And when they did a bit more research into it, turns out that these are real people that actually speak like this, inbred as hell, though. Like because they all get married into each other, they all lose their chins. You know the way inbreeding, like weaker society starts to lose their chins and jaws. And these people had no chins whatsoever to speak of. Like, so it was
God.
Yeah, it's a dead giveaway.
This isn't what I came across now down in London Irish, I must say.
I have no doubt. Listen, to be honest with you, I felt a little inadequate with your amazing story. I just had to come out with something. I even didn't even tell my own. I told somebody else's story. That's how pathetic I am right now.
Andrew Maxwell, we did a thing for BBC last year. We were on the same team. We were like representing Ireland in the Six Nations sin bin. You do a load of like crazy challenges.
Right.
Great crack. That's,
brilliant.
He never added me on Instagram afterwards, so if you're chatting to him,
he won't. I gigged with him 3 nights in a row. No, wouldn't follow me back. So that's.
So we could start the Andrew Maxwell.
Yeah. It's fine. I've got a new special out. He doesn't. I'm just saying, fine. It's fine. It's fine. But
anyway,
you did you skipped over. How did you think to do the Danube, cycle the Danube for 2 weeks? Is that a thing? Like, as I know, like it's not like walking the Camino. Like I've never heard of somebody cycling the Danube. Obviously, it's a thing.
Do you know what it is? I lived in Vienna for a year. I did my Erasmus there years ago.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
That sounds like that sounds ridiculously posh. I did my Erasmus in Vienna. Back in the day.
I read a tweet actually the other day that young people now are calling it Erasmataz. So anyway, did my Erasmus in Vienna, however many years ago, but I loved it so much that I've been back loads of times since. I'm very close with the kind of the rugby community there, so I'd see them a lot and all the rest. But I knew I wanted to go back to visit Vienna like in the summer. So it was when I was in Gloucester, friends of ours invited us over for dinner, and they had a gorgeous like old listed building house, and they had decorated lovely. But one thing they had was they had loads of, when you go to the toilet in their house and you're sitting on the toilet, you're in front of a bookshelf, and all the books are about cycling. And one of the books was Lonely Planet, Best Cycling Trips in the World. So while I was sitting on their toilet, I took out this book and started looking at it. And then I came out and I was like, do you mind if I steal this book for a little while? I'd love to read it and have a look at it. They were like, no bother at all. After I came out of the toilet, like stealing their book, and found that bike path in it. And I looked into it a bit, and it was really nice distraction because I wasn't in a good place after kind of deciding to leave Ireland, and just kind of the last season kind of wasn't wonderful for me. So I just really wanted something to distract me. So put a lot of planning into it, thinking about like, where to start, where to get my bike from. Would I buy a bike? Would I rent a bike? Which way would I go? And stuff like that. So I'd recommend it to everyone. I had a load of people following me, asking me loads of questions about it. So I actually must put all the information together for people, because it was such a brilliant trip. Like, you could do it in a few days. Like, you could cycle across, like, along the Danube in like 3-4 days, like if you really had the foot down. But like I took like 2 weeks. I started a little bit earlier along the path in Germany. Halfway through, I took the train down to Salzburg, and I like cycled around like the mountains, and I did like obviously the Sound of Music bicycle sing along tour. Salzburg is so cool though, if you haven't been. I definitely like recommend.
I think I went ski. Did I go skiing there back when I used to have money? I think I did.
Yeah.
I used back when we all had money years ago. I think I went skiing in Salzburg.
Well, you had a kid, so that's where all your money is gone.
Yeah, well, no, it was gone even before that, to be honest with you. I blew it on tuxedos.
Cigars, wooing women. But you know what? Even for kids, like there's loads, because it's flat, because it's along the river.
Yeah.
Loads of kids doing it, like older people. I was the youngest, because it was June. The kind of holiday season hasn't started yet. I was the youngest on the bike path by about 50 years. So, well, that's definitely an exaggeration. But anyway, I would recommend it to everyone. It was such a wonderful trip. And you can cycle the whole way down to Budapest, like through Slovakia. You can keep going. Like I met a fella from the Netherlands. You always meet fellas from the Netherlands on bikes. He was cycling from Amsterdam to the Black Sea.
What?
However many thousands of kilometers, like it was gas. But you can link up kind of, he came down the Rhine, and then you kind of link up with the Danube, and you can go literally follow the Danube the whole way to the Black Sea.
Europe is class, isn't it? Like
Europe is class.
Yeah.
Completely agree with that statement. Yeah.
We're doing we're not going far this year because house builds and stuff like that, but we are going to a pirate festival, weekend festival in Wales. Which I'm very excited about. We're seeing with my siblings and their kids come as well. But it's proper pirates. So we're going to go for 3 or 4 days as pirates. And then what we're hoping to do this year, but we won't get there, is this will be up your street. It's the Brothers Grimm tour. So you drive around to where all the origins of the Brother Grimm stories came from. So it's a lot of them are the Schlosses around Germany and Austria and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they encourage dress up coming to a lot of them. So
Our
child is going to have a strange upbringing. I will tell you that much. It's
oh yeah, dress up and visiting the like sites of those places. Do you know what's one of the coolest places I've ever been? Some people are really good at like visiting places like for festivals and for events. I haven't done too much of it, but when I was doing my Erasmus in Vienna, they organized an Erasmus trip for all the foreign students, and they brought us down to the mountains, like Zell am See. Like a lot of people will have gone.
I've skied there.
Skiing there,
I
yes.
know I've skied there. Yeah.
Yes. So they've got, the gorgeous mountain towns, like Bavarian mountain towns.
Oh.
So Santa Claus comes in Austria on the 5th of December.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, on the 6th. But the anti-Santa, do you know, here we'd say to kids, like, if you don't behave, Santa won't come. But around like the mountains, like in Bavaria and stuff, they say around the Alps, they say Santa won't come and Krampus will come.
I only found out properly about. I didn't.
Oh, really?
I saw this. We were in a Bavarian
Were you
town
there?
years
I've
ago.
never met anyone else who's been there on the 5th.
And we were there for a beer and wine festival years and years ago, and I didn't know about any of this. Nobody told me. We just thought it was in this old Bavarian town, and these lads came through dressed up, started kicking people up the hole and stuff, and I was like, "What the name of Jesus?" Kids were pissing themselves, running in all directions. One fella, now I thought it was powerful sport, but one fella did flog into my pint. Well, it wasn't. It was my proper stein, and it kind of went flying everywhere. That was the point where I went, now here, lad, I know dress up is fun and all the rest, but you have to spill some of my beer. And the spirit of Christmas is fading out to be fairly fucking quick. But stunning.
That's part of it. That's part of it, because I actually did, when I got back to UL, then we to do a presentation about like some element of society in Austria, and people were doing like the education system and all this boring shit, and I was like, Krampus. And I did my presentation on Krampus, and like I showed like pictures of my legs. My legs were destroyed because they'd hit me so hard with the sticks. Like they literally just backed me into a corner, like crossing legs. I was like, help, like I'm being assaulted, but like this is all like part of it. It was the most terrifying / enjoyable like festival thing I've ever been to. So like if anyone's ever looking to go skiing around like 5th, 6th of December, or even just go there then, and like there's lovely Christmas markets. But the idea is that it's Santa's helper, and he kind of scares away evil and stuff like that, but then he comes to scare the kids. But like they wear these bells and you can hear them coming, and they're like, they've got the scariest like outfits, and they're like and like behind the mask, like beating you with sticks. It was so terrifying. It was amazing.
I love that in Europe too, where they don't want to overly coddle a child. They go, now this fella might steal you and be a bit scary. Like we're gone very saccharine American sweet here, where we're like, it's lovely and it's all going to be lovely, and the worst that can happen is some coal. The devil comes running up the street in Germany with a stick and beats everybody. I only found out these crazy. I must send you on. You'd enjoy the episode. Myself and another chap, Jerry McBride. We have a show on and off called the Tom and Jerry Show, and we meet up and we do. We pick these ridiculous. Like we did a 2-hour episode on Dolly Parton to investigate if she was in fact a saint, and we went through all the stages of sainthood. Turns out she is, but we just did Christmas from around the world, and it was one of the most fun investigative things I did. But I found like in Spain, in Barcelona, the Catalan region, they are mad into poo and Christmas. Poo and Christmas go hand in hand. They have all. I guarantee you've been to Barcelona, right? I don't know if you've ever seen the little pooing man. Have you? You can. No. They're for sale everywhere. I saw it years ago and I didn't know what it was. Turns out he's there for Christmas, right? So he's a little bloke just pooing, and the idea is the kids moving him around the nativity scene throughout Christmas, and the parents have to try and find it, and it's a bit of crack. But then there's another one where they have the pooing log. Bet you never heard of that.
No.
Excuse me. So the pooing log, everybody gets one. It's a log that just looks like a regular log with a face painted on the end of it. And you know, you'd often see at Christmas markets here, they make shitty little reindeer, right? Or they stick sticks into a log and then no antlers on this guy, just 4 sticks for legs. And they put a blanket over the back of him, and you feed him kind of figs and stuff. You know, you put it up to his mouth and you sing a song going, here, be giving me sweets now come Christmas. I'm feeding you well enough with all that. And I want nougat, especially nougat. That's the top shit I want, right?
Yeah.
Christmas Eve, everybody in the family takes a stick and beats the living shit out of this guy and sings a song to the shit log. He's known as the shit log, to shit me out some nougat. And don't be giving me any. The song basically, I'm paraphrasing, but it says, don't be shitting me herring because that's too salty. Shit is good nougat because that's as tasty. And you beat the living shit out of this guy for as long as you want. And then magically the next morning, he's pooed a whole plethora of sweets for you. Amazing. Amazing. That's why I love Europe. They don't.
When you said, sorry,
they don't.
When you said there that the whole family takes a shtick, I thought you were going to say the whole family takes a shit.
No, that's when they go to their fancy friends' toilet and read the Lonely Planet book. That's what they do.
Oh no!
Yeah, do you know what? It wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility. I was just reading it. It's like all of Europe, when they started looking into these mad things, they're actually haven't been tainted by heavy West stuff in the way that they're still a bit scary. Do you know, like,
yeah.
Do you know, like the Brothers Grimm story, all those stories, they became soft fairy tales when Disney got their hands on them, but they're still told as terror for children, which I think I kind of like. Is that it's, you know, you're not pulling any punches, like.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. But you're getting me excited for Spain now. I'm moving to Spain on Monday.
Yes,
Did I tell you that? Well, I'm getting me excited. I won't be there in time for the Poolog, I'd say. I've missed that boat. But
you'll be able to get your man, the little fella. He's called oh God, Jesus! The people listen to this are going, you literally did the podcast a week ago, Tom. I swear to God, you'll see him everywhere. And what they've done is they've actually made replicas now, so you can get like Darth Vader pooing, you can get Bugs Bunny pooing, you can get Vladimir Putin pooing, you can get whoever. And just as the FBI are listening to this, you can also get Joe Biden pooing and Obama pooing as well. So just to clarify, we're not leading any which way.
We're equal.
We're right down the line. Very unpolitical. God, I'm
so excited for this. I can't wait.
It seems to be that they're totally cool with body function. That's what I'm saying. Is that the British ways kind of like knocked it out of us and all the rest of it. And they probably had, you know, the hands they had in America back in the day probably made it a very don't speak about kind of thing. But in Europe,
it makes people kind of less fussy about things. I know in Europe as well, like they're less phased also about like nudity.
Yeah.
And they all like go into the sauna together and like more things I learned on my Erasmus. I was like, are people wearing swimming togs? They were like, no, Anna. And they were like laughing at me. And I was like, well, what about the perverts? They were like, Anna, there aren't really perverts here because it's not such a taboo. Do you know?
Isn't that interesting? It's like in Portugal where they lifted the ban on all drugs, and now apparently their drug problem has gone down absolutely down the drain. They have next to no.
Know that.
You're like, fuck, I picked Spain. Why didn't I go to Portugal?
I start learning Portuguese soon. But come here.
You've got to hit the road. But the very exciting news, not just that you're going to Spain, obviously, but yet you're going to Spain to. Are you coaching over there as well?
Player coach, yeah.
Class. Yeah. Where are you going? Are you going Barcelona direction?
No, not going to Barcelona. I'm going to a town called La Coruña, and everybody knows it because everyone literally is like Deportivo La Coruña, and I'm like, yeah, well, they're only in Spain 3rd division now because they blew all their money on something. But
I'm bringing you over to coach their rugby team.
This is it. But they like, if you wanted to be in Spain but be as close to Ireland as possible, this is where you'd go. And like when I spoke to the coaches, like about, you know, when I was kind of putting it all in place, they were like, you'll feel right at home because it rains all the time. Obviously not with the like Kerry accent, but I wasn't too excited about it. But look, you know, it's not typical. Like I didn't study Spanish for 4 years to go somewhere it's raining all the time. But sure, look,
his all the time, I guarantee, is not our all the time. I guarantee.
Yeah, maybe.
It never is. They go, oh, you should see it, and you're like, it rained for 3 days in the entire year. That's not just because the rest of the place doesn't have any rain. In fact,
maybe
you'll find the parts of Spain where they don't have road gullies because literally there's no rain to go in them. It's like I guarantee you, it will not be like the west of Ireland. It won't be.
Yeah, no. I'll look out for the gullies and I'll let you know if they're there or not.
Them and the pooing men. But the very exciting news is a collaboration is happening. If you can't tell by the entirety of the last 45 minutes, we talked like two teenagers on MDMA because we're quite excited by the notion. We're not on drugs. We're not. Well, am I? Possibly. We're collaborating and we're bringing out our own podcast. Correct?
This is correct. Yeah.
We haven't named it yet. But it will be rugby based.
We could take suggestions.
I love the idea of that. I loved it. I mooted it earlier on. I think there'll have to be a banana somewhere in the thing. There'll have to be a banana somewhere.
Right. We'll think about it. Yeah.
Exactly. The rolling thought will be come back to us with ideas. Doesn't matter how shit they are. Literally, we will skirt around the rugby. It's rugby adjacent is what our podcast will be, but it'll be based. We're going to go around the Six Nations, but we won't be boring the living bejesus out of you. And if you've ever come across me talking to somebody about rugby down through the years of the podcast, including Anna, you'll notice I don't really nerd the shit out of it either. And Anna, being a former international player, won't be nerding the shit out of it either.
She hasn't a clue.
Yeah. And you didn't have to have a clue either while you're unbelievably good at rugby. But look we will see us two will see ye all back in a couple of weeks' time at the start of the Six Nations with an actual named podcast. So I will keep people abreast of that to go and follow it. But till then,
can't wait because do you know you come out the other side of Christmas and everyone's like, oh, you know, New Year now, blah blah blah, and rugby fans are just like, not long to go now till Six Nations.
Yes.
So I am actually gunning. I can't wait. I love the Six Nations. And I love now because the women's Six Nations is separate to the men's. Like when I played for Ireland, it was always alongside it. So we were always training at this time of year. So this is this is another level now to have the men's like stand alone, totally focused on the men's, and then a couple of months later the women's comes along. Yeah, so I love it. I love this time of year. I'm
very excited. Anna, right. Till I see you in a couple of weeks. Safe travels.
Gurvila. And I'll let you know if I see any gullies or pooing men.
Get me a pooing man, please.
Statues of pooing men.
Coughing again. Oh, and I just my mouse, the battery on the fucking eats up with this. I can't even shut it off. you can go away. Work away amongst. Wait, is it back? I can quit it anyway. It's the finest. Right, you go. Take your call. Take your call, and I'll email you on a couple ideas, and you vice versa.
Unreal. Slán a bhaile.
Slán a bhaile.